We've heard from Aliyah Rahman, who says she has autism and a traumatic brain injury. She says she was on her way to a medical appointment when agents surrounded her on all sides.
In the dead of night on August 10th, 2025-26, gunmen from the Los Chapitos faction of the Sinaloa Cartel crawled through a hidden tunnel beneath Arizona's desert, armed with enough fentanyl to wipe out millions in military-grade weapons. Their target a foothold on American soil. They thought the border was just a line on a map and America was asleep. They were gravely mistaken. In a mere 180 seconds, Delta Force and Army Rangers crushed their plans in a brutal no-warning, no-survivor assault. Don't blink, because this untold story uncovers how America answers those who dare to cross the line with fire steel and unwavering speed. Subscribe now to uncover the battle that forever changed the border. The desert wind, cold and unforgiving, sliced through the Arizona-Sonora border, carrying nothing but deadly silence. No blaring sirens, no signs of breach, just a subtle tremor beneath the earth. A micro-seismic pulse too fleeting for radar to detect, but enough to activate the buried sensors of the Border Defense Command. Below the sand and rock, a tunnel had been completed. 3 weeks of meticulous construction using diamond drilling technology, 9 meters deep, 1.3 kilometers long, with an exit just 2.4 kilometers north of the border marker, right beneath a low-level border checkpoint. And then they emerged. 26 gunmen from the Los Chapitos faction, the deadliest arm of the Sinaloa Cartel, crawled out of the tunnel like shadows, heavily armed and silent. Each wore infrared goggles, suppressed M4A1 rifles, lightweight armor, and encrypted navigation gear enhanced with stealth software from leaked U.S. military training maps. No shots fired. 4 border agents were bound, gagged, and left hanging as a chilling message: "We can kill, but not today." In just 4 minutes, they had taken control of the entire border post. A small compound equipped with a mobile radar storage containers and a satellite antenna lay in wait. The group's leader, Mono 11, rumored to be El Chapo Guzman's son-in-law, quickly planted timed explosives on the control system and ordered the retreat. 3 trucks disguised with the logo of a Mexican logistics company followed, loaded with 142 kilograms of fentanyl, 24 light machine guns, homemade drones, and military-grade radio equipment. This wasn't a simple smuggling operation. The true objective was to gain a foothold on American soil. The cartel's plan was clear: establish a strategic outpost in the Arizona desert, using it as a launch point for a white supply chain across the states, no longer hiding in the shadows. They believed the U.S. government was distracted by foreign conflicts and that the border was nothing more than a faint line on a map, no longer a lethal divide. They were wrong. From 6,000 meters, a U.S. Army Gray Eagle UAV in silent glide mode picked up an unusual heat signature. The cartel's trucks, radiating heat like Humvees, moved erratically, blending in with civilian traffic. Deep AI analysis detects radio frequency interference around the targets, a sign of drone jamming or GPS disruption. The report reaches Fort Bliss in just 26 seconds. Lieutenant Colonel Jason Hayes, commander of Delta Force, is jolted awake in the dead of night. A single question is asked: smuggling or non-state warfare? His response is swift: this is invasion. As the cartel struggles to move trucks toward Tucson's outskirts along dirt roads, the Pentagon calls an emergency meeting with Cyber Command SOCOM and the Department of Justice. Meanwhile, signal experts intercept an encrypted conversation from the intruders. If all goes well, we'll have a second bridgehead by dawn on the 11th. The words confirm Northern Command's worst fear. This is the opening move of a larger plan to establish an armed cartel foothold on U.S. soil. If left unchecked, it could open the gates to chaos. At 5:18 a.m., the counter-strike is greenlit. No media, no politics, no negotiations, only military action. And when Delta Force strikes, the intruders aren't just pursued, they are wiped off the map. A heavy silence falls over the underground command room at Fort Bliss as a satellite image fills the main screen. 3 border crossing containers are tracked, their every move scrutinized. No beacons, no GPS, no license plates on the traffic grid, but every meter is accounted for. The convoy crawls along a dirt road south of Tucson heading toward Cedarwood, a forgotten town once bustling with copper mines. Now it's a ghost town of abandoned warehouses, empty substations, and fewer than 1,000 residents, a perfect dead zone void of traffic cameras or fixed checkpoints, ideal for an armed group to secure a foothold. Lieutenant Colonel Jason Hayes stands close to the screen, motionless, his gaze fixed on the UAV's thermal signature. Beside him, Captain Marquez, the technical commander of the Army Rangers stationed at Yuma Inputs commands into the Delta RC combat system. The plan forms with breathtaking speed as though it had been in preparation for months. The trap will close in on an abandoned warehouse 2.1 kilometers west of the town center. The structure, with its rusted tin roof, 12 millimeters thick, 3 entry points, and reinforced concrete walls, dating back to World War II, is perfect a kill box, yet discreet enough to hide the fury within. In just 3 minutes, the Delta 57 kill box is finalized. A Gray Eagle UAV hovers at 8,000 meters, maintaining continuous surveillance. 3 snipers from Foxtrot 11 deployed from the Mojave training range, each armed with a Shaytak M200 rifle capable of reaching targets up to 2,500 meters away. Meanwhile, Cyber Command engineers set up mobile and radio jammers, cutting off any potential calls for cartel reinforcements. The mission isn't just to stop them, it's to erase them. Delta Force doesn't waste time with warning shots. When the strike order is given, every target within the kill box will be neutralized in 180 seconds. On the other side, the cartel remains blissfully unaware of the danger lurking above. Mono 11 sits in the passenger seat of the second container, constantly checking the jamming and communication devices, oblivious to the fact that each time he opens the door, the UAV's infrared camera locks onto his position with precise accuracy. In his mind, everything is going according to plan. The trucks have crossed without incident, the route is secure, and the bridgehead will be set up on time. But what he doesn't realize is that the game has already shifted. At 5:42, the Pentagon's AI system predicts the cartel will stop for arrest within the next 20 minutes at Warehouse 57. Based on speed, fuel levels, and engine temperature calculations, show the cartel must stop before dawn to avoid detection by patrol aircraft. Hayes receives the report and speaks a single word: lock. Within 6 minutes, stealth units have sealed off Warehouse 57. Seismic sensors are buried around a 300-meter perimeter, tracking every movement, every step. At 6:01 a.m., the 3 containers arrive at the warehouse. The driver steps out, opens the iron gate, and checks security. Mono 11 waves, signaling the movement of the cargo inside. At Fort Bliss, the red light in the command room shifts to yellow. Engagement is imminent. The snipers are given their orders: lock on in priority, first the commander, second the sentries, third the radio operators. A secure channel transmits all units report position. 6 minutes remaining. Targets will be in the kill box at 6:18. No early shots, no survivors. This is a battlefield, not a courtroom. Then silence, absolute stillness. Only the pounding heartbeats of American soldiers poised and waiting for the perfect moment. As the first rays of sunlight break over the Arizona horizon, the intruders remain unaware that the wrath of a superpower is closing in from above with just 120 seconds left. At 6:08 a.m., the 3 Sinaloa cartel containers are fully inside the abandoned Warehouse 57. The iron gate slams shut behind them, sealing them in like a coffin. They remain oblivious to the danger. Mono 11 steps out first, checking the internal comms map before ordering the first container to be opened. Inside are 6 lead-lined packages holding 142 kilograms of pure fentanyl, enough to kill nearly 500,000 people if it were released into a water supply. The commander removes his mask, exhaling in relief, thinking he's reached his destination. But 6,200 meters above, an MQ-1C Gray Eagle UAV tracks his every move, sending thermal and positional data to Delta Force and the sniper team with pinpoint accuracy. And then, as Mono 11 raises his hand to signal the unloading, the gates of hell swing open. At 6:09:13, the first shot rings out. A sharp crack shatters the stillness, and Mono 11 drops a hole in his forehead, blood splattering across the white cargo. 1.4 seconds later, two sentries crumple their chests, torn open as if pierced by a hammer. Before the others can comprehend what's happening, the western warehouse wall explodes. A specialized MAWSH 441 wall-penetrating round fired from 400 meters tears through the concrete and detonates inside, unleashing chaos. The second container is violently flipped off its rack, crushing 3 cartel members who were scrambling toward the emergency exit. At the same time, the warehouse gate is breached from 2 directions. One Delta Force team bursts through the main entrance, blasting hinges with explosives, while another deploys Switchblade suicide drones to slice through the wall gaps, obliterating the cartel's makeshift wooden and tin command post. Delta operators move like machines, their night vision goggles casting an eerie glow as they wield suppressed M4A1 rifles loaded with 5.56 millimeter armor-piercing rounds. Their fingers squeeze the triggers without hesitation, no warnings, no negotiations, only speed, precision, and devastation. On the warehouse mezzanine, a cartel member reaches for the anti-UAV jammer, but before he can press the button, 2 rounds slam into his chest from 50 meters. Below, 2 others crouch behind the fentanyl container, firing their submachine guns in desperation. They manage just 4 shots before an M84 flashbang blinds and deafens them, followed by sniper rounds that tear through their thighs and stomachs. In a blistering 96 seconds, the entire cartel unit is wiped out, 19 dead, 4 wounded and collapsed, and 1 scrambling to escape through the back door. As he crosses the threshold, he triggers a thermal trap. A claymore mine equipped with a thermal camera detonates, tearing the fleeing cartel member's body apart in a cloud of black smoke. At 6:11:09, the assault team halts fire. A ranger unit swiftly moves in, armed with chemical detection gear, confirming that the third container holds unstable, leaking fentanyl. If pierced by bullets or exposed to high heat, it could trigger a catastrophic biological explosion. Within 3 minutes, an explosive ordnance disposal EOD team is called in, deploying an automated thermal sealing system and an emergency recovery robot. In just 4 minutes, the entire warehouse is sealed off as a red-level tactical decontamination zone. The Black Hawk helicopter hovers overhead, scanning the open lot to ensure no survivors manage to escape. From the command post, Captain Marquez reports over an encrypted channel, "Primary target neutralized. Kill box complete. No losses on our side. Requesting high-level confirmation for data decryption." Lieutenant Colonel Hayes nods silently. Inside the warehouse, Mono 11's lifeless body lies beside the shipment, his eyes wide open in shock, still staring at the spot where he was taken down. Not a single stray bullet. Not a moment's hesitation from the commander, and not a single intruder left alive in the kill box. Do you support this war? If yes, comment the number 2. If no, comment the number 5. This isn't Mexico. This is the American border, and this border bites. At 6:19 a.m. in Warehouse 57, Delta, amid smoke, debris, scattered cargo, and still warm bodies, a faint groan rises from a dark corner by a collapsed wall. A Delta operator moves in rifle-raised flashlight, cutting through the darkness to reveal a blood-soaked figure crawling from shattered wooden crates. He's alive. 2 bullets have torn through his left hip and right shoulder, but he's still breathing, still responsive, and most importantly, not resisting. He's flipped onto his back, restrained and retina scanned. Quickly, he's identified as Luis Adrian Elmino Quintero, a key liaison for Los Chapitos, and the second son-in-law of Ovidio Guzman. Lopez Luis Adrian Elmino Quintero has been linked to fentanyl smuggling into Northern California since 2023. But his true value isn't just in his identity, it's the 1 terabyte SSD hidden in his body armor, protected by a thin lead layer and AES 512-bit encryption. After being stabilized and given emergency first aid, Elmino is loaded onto a waiting UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter outside the warehouse. Alongside him is an NSA cryptology team dispatched under an urgent Pentagon Directive Level 1, decrypt this data within 6 hours. Use AI behavioral analysis and deep decryption. No standard methods. When the drive is connected at a temporary training base in Fort Bliss, the cryptology team watches in silence as data frames start to populate the screen. Inside the drive isn't just a smuggling map, it's the entire Los Chapitos logistics network spread across American soil, 18 storage points across Arizona, Texas, Oklahoma, even reaching Ohio and Pennsylvania. Each location is masked as delivery companies, organic farms, or auto repair shops. But what's even more chilling is the list of 37 American names: truck drivers, customs agents, postal workers, small yet dangerously vital cogs in the operation. The DEA refers to these networks as hyper-decentralized criminal startups where no one individual knows the entire system and all locations rotate every 90 days. However, everything has now been exposed. That same morning, as El Mino is taken for special interrogation, rapid response teams from the DEA, U.S. Marshals, and ATF are ordered to raid 5 cartel sites. The result, 11 suspects arrested, over $8 million in cash, seized tons of precursor chemicals, and a container of weapons from Venezuela. When asked why they dared to cross the border so openly, El Mino simply replied, "We thought America no longer dared touch us." The interrogator smiles, records the statement verbatim, and closes the file. 1 hour later, El Mino is transferred to a covert black site. No photos, no press, no statements. However, Mexican media buzzes with a brief report from Sonora Los Chapitos, lost contact early this morning. No one knows if he's alive or dead. What's certain is that El Mino stepped onto unforgiving ground, and those who do rarely return. At 7:35 a.m., as the first rays of sunlight flood the Arizona Desert Warehouse 57 Delta is left with nothing but ashes, chemical dust, and dried blood staining the cracked concrete floor. The entire operation lasts exactly 18 minutes from the first shot to the final helicopter's departure. No reporters know, no civilian cameras capture the events. But in Washington, an emergency National Security Council meeting is called. CIA analysts confirmed that this incursion wasn't isolated. It's part of a broader campaign called Operación Nido Norte, aimed at expanding cartel influence onto American soil. The Arizona event is just the beginning. That afternoon, the Secretary of Defense holds a brief, chilling press conference. Any armed force, state or non-state, conducting paramilitary operations on American soil will be treated as an act of aggression and met with corresponding force. No details, no compromises, no apologies, just a message forged in steel. Within 72 hours of the battle, other cartels like CJNG, Gulf Cartel, and Los Zetas go radio silent across their usual channels. Los Chapitos' social media accounts, once full of weapon flaunts, drug deals, and border power videos, go dark as well as if swallowed by the night. The DEA dubs it the 57 Delta effect, an unprecedented deterrent that requires no propaganda, no cameras, just a battle where no one survives to tell the tale. But the loudest message isn't for the cartels, it's for the world. This isn't just a border, it's the line between life and death. And if you cross it with guns, drugs, or dreams of power, you won't just be deported, you'll be erased from the map. Not by war, but by resolve, by data, by speed, and by one simple truth: America can be patient, but America never forgets. The Sinaloa cartel's armed incursion into the United States on August 10, 2025, wasn't just a drug smuggling operation. It was a silent but dangerous declaration. Enemies are starting to see America as a gray zone to test. When Los Chapitos dared to dig cross-border tunnels fully armed, carrying enough fentanyl to kill millions, seizing a border post, and operating homemade military drones, they weren't just criminals, they were a paramilitary force aiming to establish control on American soil. But they made a fatal mistake underestimating America's response. In just hours from the moment a Gray Eagle UAV detected an unusual thermal signature to when Delta Force sealed the kill box at Warehouse 57 Delta, the cartel's entire assault network was obliterated. No mercy. Every bullet, every wall breach, every target lock executed with cold precision. Commander Mono 11 was gunned down as he opened the first container. Switchblade suicide drones, MAWSH-441 round surveillance drones, all synchronized in a deadly symphony of technology and discipline. The result, 23 of 26 enemies eliminated, one captured alive, the second son-in-law of Ovidio Guzman, carrying an SSD with the cartel's entire U.S. logistics network. The data leads the DEA to dismantle connections across 18 states. This demonstrates how a single enemy misstep can unleash an American storm precise to the second. The lesson for Americans: the border is no longer just geography. It's where national identity and security are forged. For leaders, it's proof that vigilance is never excessive, and every domestic and foreign policy must prioritize sovereignty, not in words, but with strength. The final warning to any group daring to challenge America: you may dig deep, evade, or operate in the shadows, but we can see your every heartbeat from thousands of miles away. The lesson from the Warehouse 57 Delta battle is clear: America's vigilance and strength in defending its borders are unyielding. When the Sinaloa cartel boldly infiltrated with fentanyl and weapons, they gravely underestimated the immediate response of Delta Force and advanced surveillance technology. In just 180 seconds, their entire plan to establish a criminal bridgehead was obliterated, proving that the American border is not merely a line on a map, but a boundary of sovereignty defended with resolve, speed, and absolute power. And that's how, in just 18 minutes from the first shot to the last helicopter's departure, America sent a steel-hard message: crossing the border with guns and drugs isn't smuggling, it's war, and enemies will be erased from the map. The Warehouse 57 Delta event not only destroyed a Sinaloa cartel unit, but also exposed their criminal network across 18 states, proving no shadow can hide from the eyes of American justice. What do you think of Delta Force's lightning-fast response? Is this the only way to protect the border? Leave a comment below and share your thoughts on this battle. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated on more gripping stories about those who dare challenge America's unbreakable line.